Alrighty, hello everybody and welcome back to Solo Score Rush. We are continuing on this playoffs weekend. Happy Sunday, everybody, and we're just rounding out these couple matches here in our playoffs round before we get to the real deal in this tournament. Today we have Sky versus solemosss, a pretty big seed differential. Um, I'm a bit interested to see how this one will go, but we're gonna have to see. As always, I'm Arisoni. I will be commentating this match. Commentating alongside me will be Epic Man 2. How's it going?
Yo, hello once again. Thank you all for the opportunity once again, and yeah, my day's been good so far. Haven't really done so much besides like shopping mayhaps, but yeah, once again, this is going to be one of the last matches that we've got of this playoffs weekend before we advance into round of 64. And as we can see here, the bans are going to be rolled out already. So Rice 2 and Ellen 3 going to be getting the ban hammers we can see. And it seems like Sky with the first pick is going to be on none other than Hybrid 3 Genso, no Satellite.
Honestly, I find it pretty interesting that Sky is knocking out an LN pick here as we going back to their qualifier scores. Sky seems to have had the upper hand in that more LN focused range. I mean, I believe, if I'm correct, stage 3, 5, and 8 are all LNs, if I'm correct. That's their top placing like scores, all in the top 30. So a bit interesting seeing an LN ban coming from a more LN focused player, but maybe it's just preference. But like you mentioned, already jumping into the first pick, gonna be Hybrid 3 here.
Yeah, absolutely. So far, everyone getting relatively straightforward scores so far. Sky and solemosss basically within the same boundaries. Sky going to be having the upper hand by just a tint so far as we get into this more calmer verse so far. But even then, from what it looks like, Sky has actually taken a bit of a drop in accuracy, but solemosss also is going to be taking the first miss as well. That's going to give Sky the upper hand by about 10,000 points as the lead objectifies here. So far, no faults really to be seen so far going into a map like this. This is still only just positive set first quarter, and with another miss from solemosss, that is basically going to spell some trouble for them going into the map, as this means that Sky already has accumulated quite a bit of a score lead so far, and that's going to only count to the amount of total that they're going to need to be able to win this match.
Yeah, I mean, solemosss, even though they did find a couple breaks, that accuracy almost in that 98 percentile range, but I think the damage has already been done in that early sections. As you can see, this map pretty physical, 230 BPM. The OD also not very forgiving, and solemosss struggled a bit on that physicality side of things, so probably not what they were expecting merely out of the get-go. Sky holding up very well, 99.5 for them, as we head into a bit of a more tamer section here. solemosss managing to accumulate some combo here, but I mean a 74,000 score difference between the two. Already quite a giant lead heading into the final quarter of the map here. I mean, there is always, I mean, it's not over until that playfield disappears and the scores are submitted, but I mean, seeing how Sky is still climbing up that score lead and solemosss picking up another break, it's pretty much the days are numbered here.
Indeed, things not really looking way too bright for solemosss here, especially taking that final trip on the Ellens here, but once again, that is going to be the first map complete so far. Sky going to be taking this map by storm with almost a whole 100,000 points of a difference here, although it just basically double the cap as we can see here, because at this point, I think now with solemosss being the next in line to be able to pick a map, they're gonna need to pick something that is a little more straightforward, I would say. There really isn't like too many options I would feel are on the board, but solemosss gonna be opting in for LN1, so kind of interesting to see. They do at least would have to favor some of the more straightforward maps because, especially looking at their performances from the qualifiers, a lot of the maps were balls hard. So I feel it's going to be a bit easier with the competition being on an easier map pool, to say the least.
Yeah, definitely. As solemosss did struggle a lot on, like I said, not the most physical player in this tournament. They did bottom score most of the maps, but then again, the qualifiers was really tough. Thankfully, the playoff stage is a bit more easier on the hands and the stamina for the likings of these players. And solemosss starting off on the right foot this time. Like you mentioned, going for a lot more straightforward pick. But ooh, these LN release patterns gonna throw off solemosss here, as they are already down to a low A rank on some of these very tough releases and coordination sections, as Sky manages to flawlessly hit these sections with a couple of 200s sprinkled around here and there. But solemosss finding a really tough opening there, as that lead already spills out to 40k.
Yeah, absolutely. So far, this one not looking very clean for solemosss either. Getting the hands dirty right off of some of those drops, off of some of the really harsh but tame LN's DEC in this map, especially. Just the fact that you have to at least coordinate in very specific ways that you at least see when it comes to earlier game maps such as this in question. But even then, Sky has been capitalizing really well off of that so far. 99.50% accuracy to spare so far. Going into this columnar section, there's only really half of the map left, so there's a lot of time for solemosss to at least try and contest for that lead back. But even then, the gap is only just becoming even more extreme, to a point where it's going to be insanely hard unless we see some sort of an abort or massive meltdown on the side of the Sky. But time is also running out as we enter the final four here.
Yeah, time is not on solemoss's side at the moment, especially with these more staggered LN releases, where it's kind of like release and then hit in another LN in the same column pretty much as soon as possible. That's what's been pretty much distracting solemosss here. They do reach that combo cap, but I mean, we have seen a plethora of combo breaks already on their side. I mean, they are starting to climb that accuracy in that 96 department. They are holding up some very strong combo, but I mean, Sky is not willing to budge at all. And I mean, we only have this closing of the map left to go, and Sky going to add another 50k points to their lead, gonna hit the 100,000 mark. Only 13,200s of solid FC from Sky, and a very solid performance as well from solemosss as well, a 96. And yeah, with that, solemosss gonna be able to pick here.
Yeah, once again, I feel like with how things are going so far, okay, solemosss going to be picking Rice Free. I mean, it definitely makes a little more sense. I would argue that this one is at least one of the most straightforward picks that we have so far in the actual map pool, and this match to be specific. But even then, with how things have been going, like over the previous two maps, the scoreline is slowly just becoming like way too big to be able to spare on the side of solemosss as well. And even then, not being able to manage with the hybrids and the LNs is going to be, I feel, sending signals that are really favorable in their side, because they're going to really need something that can actually at least give them some sort of leverage within this pool, because once again, this is a single elimination bracket. They're going to need something if they're going to need at least some light at the end of the tunnel if they want to be able to enter the bracket stage for the next week. And so far, going into the map, you get thrown into some of these really straightforward jacks with some technical patterns. Solemosss going to be taking the first drop and the first blink, as well as Sky is still managing to uphold their really strong performances within this one as well.
Yeah, especially this map peaking at 281 BPM not the fastest chart in the world, but solemosss getting caught up early there on some of those more avant-garde, more complex rice, like mixed rice bursts, mini jacks, pretty much everything being thrown at you here. While Sky basically not bothered by these patterns at all. Although solemosss is excelling a lot better than what they were on the more LN slash hybrid oriented picks. So this is their comfort zone, and that score lead was less than 50k for just a bit, but now starting to bleed over to 60,000 points in favor of Sky as more of these nasty bursts just come pouring down. But thankfully, you do get a bit of a break before he jumps immediately back in to these pretty nasty mini jacks and broken up light jump stream here with some of these bursts mixed in between. And I mean, just less than a quarter of a map left to go. solemosss finding another break that's just going to increase that score on the side of Sky by roughly 5,000 points and counting. And time not going to be on solemoss's side. Sky is now halfway to eliminating solemosss already. 3 picks in.
Holy damn.
Oh my goodness. 1 to 10 ratio.
Wow. I guess that is just the type of stuff that you would have to at least get used to seeing in the playoffs, because just the fact that we have like a lot of monstrous performances going into the playoffs already, and the fact that we have so many players just trying to fight their way into the round of 64 is definitely scary to say at least. I mean, just the fact that already going into this match, Sky is literally only 1 map away from being able to take this match home and guarantee a slot in the round of 64. So solemosss is really going to at least need some victory and some points to be able to really at least guarantee that they can stay in the tournament for a little longer. But we're really just going to have to see how that plays out with Kyofer all back here, the more dump oriented map in the map pool. But even then, seeing how the previous map has gone, I feel this one's gonna be just as arguably dangerous for solemosss here, and we can already see the signs of it very early on, as we can see here.
Yeah, as we move on to Rice 4, Sky immediately issuing this pick as they just don't give any time whatsoever, just immediately rush for Rice 4 here. But we're going to stay in that Rice department here, and solemosss benefiting a bit more off of this chart, having a bit better at the beginning, even despite that early break, but it won't really matter. Going to keep that lead in a roughly 13,000 point manner, so a lot better than earlier. But here comes a bit more where the map picks up in density. Lots of these bursts kind of just come out of nowhere here. Some broken jump stream here, some broken streams and bursts, pretty much everything. Very trilly as well. As OD, also OD 8.3, so not very helpful at all. And as solemosss drops a bit of accuracy on these more technical bursty sections, that score lead is going to increase now up to 24,000 points, and we are already at the back half of this map. And I mean, oh, but there's the break from solemosss.
Oh no. Yeah, that's probably already spells. I mean, just the fact that solemosss has taken that 1 miss and there's already only a final third of the map remaining to go. The cake has almost been fully eaten, and even then, with the stuff we've been seeing off solemosss here, like there's only just so much of the map left. But even then, despite managing to keep Sky in check for a good portion of the map so far, there is still so much of the map left, and already here going over the 50,000 score mark. That is basically it. I don't feel there is enough time for solemosss to be able to climb the lead back as the map closes out. Usually you would have your bans coming out at this state of the round, but because the score is already too far gone into Sky's side, the limit has been reached. Now, unfortunately for the case of solemosss here, this was the 4th map played in the entire map pool. And with that, we already have a victor.
Yes, and Sky has taken the match 200k points as they have officially punched their ticket into the round of 64. Congratulations, Sky. Unfortunately, it is the end of the line for solemosss. They put their effort in, and unfortunately, it just wasn't enough. But commiserations for everything.
Yeah.